Hello, and hope you've had a great Easter weekend. My name is Chris Finney, and you're watching Deafinator Diaries. So, the bank holiday weekend is over, and you're already dreading going back to work. But one of the problems with travelling is having to wait around before going anywhere. It's pretty unpredictable, and no matter where we are or how we choose to travel, we're always going to get delayed or held up at some point. I've just been to Holland to visit a good mate of mine, and so for that, having flown over by plane over the last few years, I decided to pick a much more direct route this time around, the Eurostar. You're probably wondering what it's like travelling with a hearing impairment. How do we hear out for announcements? How do we cope in noisy stations or busy airports? But crucially, how do we stay calm, especially when going through ticket check-ins or when there's a potential or urgent change to any travel arrangements? Sometimes, myself included, people who are deaf can feel really anxious at doing the most basic of things, such as asking somebody for help or information that we may have missed. It can be quite embarrassing, and to be honest, it's impossible to hear the muffled, echoey sound of the announcer anyway. It certainly doesn't help when little or no information is given out regarding a possible delay or change of location for platforms and departure gates. Just yesterday, I was on my way back home from Holland, but I had to do a brief stop in Brussels where I had to change trains. This made me nervous as I'd never been in a station before where very few station staff speak perfect English when it comes to asking for platform directions or any of the useful information. Eventually, I found my queue, in line amongst potentially thousands of other travellers waiting to get back to London. However, there was another problem. My train was delayed. Typical. In those situations, it's a test to remain calm, and for a deaf person, it's the last thing you'd want. I found out at the nearest departures board that my train wasn't leaving for another 2 hours. I used my smartphone to find out the reason why the delay had been caused. For sentimental reasons, I won't tell you why, but in hindsight, where would we be without smartphones and Twitter? Both are great to find out information quickly. I also asked the people around me in the same queue. It wasn't for another 90 minutes later until I moved again. The departure gates had finally opened, and there would be that expected panicky and frantic rush to try to get in front of the queue to go through borders and customs. This is when I was most scared, because so many people were shouting in frustration at the delays, and they were trying to get the next train out of Brussels. In that kind of scenario, from a deaf person's point of view, it's important that you don't put your headphones on. You must be ready to listen out for any crucial information and not be afraid of asking somebody else for help. Eventually, all was calm, and I got on my train and back home in one piece. But it's those situations that make deafness such a nightmare. So, I'll leave you with a few reminders if you're unsure of what to do in this scenario. Always ask somebody else for information. Not all strangers are tossers. Take your headphones out and listen carefully to the station announcements, no matter how bad they sound. Check the timetables as well, and check your phone for any other useful information. Oh, and avoid Brussels, the least helpful train station staff in the whole world.